going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the More Than Love podcast. I'm your host, Terry DeRon.
And I'm your co-host, Jay Babo.
Tonight's episode is sponsored by Terry DeRon Books. Make sure you go check me out at terryderonbooks.com so you can see all of my material. I have a couple of paperbacks, a couple of ebooks that are available to help you all improve your relationships and improve your understanding of men. Tonight we got a pretty interesting show. We're going to be talking about dating etiquette, do's and don'ts of dating and establishing relationships. And I got a pretty interesting guest. I spent some time chopping it up and discussing relationships with Author Cece Ivory. So I'm looking forward to sharing her thoughts and her insight with you guys. But before we get into that, I'd like to start off the podcast with a segment that I call Terry's Top 3, where we basically highlight 3 of the most interesting or controversial posts from my Instagram page at Terry DeRon. So this week, I found some pretty interesting topics, Jay. So we should have some hot takes to put on the podcast this week. All right, so the first post that we're going to be talking about is a post that I put up that it has the definition of mistake: an action or judgment that is misguided or wrong. It says a choice, the action of making a decision when faced with one or more possibilities. And so the question is, it says, why do women seem to think cheating has to be either or? It's an action, it's wrong, and they made the decision to do it. It's so annoying to see how much y'all try to change word meanings. And this post was in response to the notion that, or the cliche that we get whenever we talk about cheating. Cheating's just a choice, where the person stating that doesn't want to go into depth about what caused the cheating, what led a person to want to cheat, what made them go through all the steps and procedures necessary in order to have a romantic experience with somebody and hide it. So instead of discussing these things, because a lot of times the accountability gets placed back on the person that got cheated on what needs were not being met. What did they do that led their partner to feel that way? You know what I mean? Because a lot of times when we talk about cheating, we make it very clear. Most happy people don't cheat. People that are getting their needs met are a lot less likely to cheat than somebody that's not getting their needs met. You know what I mean? That seems to be common sense. But as we both know, Jay, common sense ain't that common these days.
Nope, not at all.
Yeah, so when we talking about cheating, and is it a choice or a mistake? Well, if a mistake means that you did something that was wrong, all right. If the person that cheated acknowledges, look, I know what I did was fucked up. I'm not supposed to be cheating. What I did was wrong. What more of an admission do you want? You know what I mean? Like, if a person if they're willing to accept accountability for their behavior or their mistakes and willing to deal with the consequences of them, what more can you expect out of somebody? Right? And but a lot of women were on my page arguing that cheating is not a mistake. And it's like, well, if the definition of a mistake is doing something wrong, and y'all make it very clear that cheating is wrong, how in the hell is this not a mistake? Right?
But I think it could be seen as both. I mean,
exactly.
Obviously you made the choice to cheat, but could you done it? And yeah, you done it. Maybe you could have done it mistakenly, but it's a choice that you made.
Well, I think somebody on my page brought up and pointed out a lot of women are responding as if the quote said cheating was an accident. You know what I mean? Like,
right, okay, yeah.
Yeah, they're treating it as if that's what that says. But no, you can make a mistake and it not be an accident. You can do something, like you can get a car accident. I pulled out, I thought I would make it, or I didn't realize they were coming. Like, There are things that you can do that are wrong, that are mistakes, that you just have to live with. And cheating is one of those things. You know what I mean? Like sometimes a person doesn't get caught cheating. You know, they get away with it. Or sometimes they do it and regret it. They do it and learn from it. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just very interesting to see how women will try to change definitions just to try to make a point. Like,
right.
Even when it's not necessary. Like something this blatantly obvious. Like, okay, the word choice. When you are presented with more than one option, you have to pick one. So a man that's unhappy or in a relationship has the option to stay faithful. He has the option to cheat. He has the option to end the relationship. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So if he's choosing one of those three options, he's making a choice. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like saying that cheating is a choice. Like, no shit. Everything is a choice. You know what I'm saying? Whether you turn left or right was a choice. Whether you get a strawberry shake or a vanilla shake was a choice. Like, everything is a choice.
Yeah. But I think another way they're taking it is like, they think you're saying like, oh, well, cheating is okay.
But man, you know that's
like, and mainly women by and large, you know, they tend to mistake. I mean, you're supposed to start saying, oh, you're saying cheating is okay, or you're trying to pass it off as being okay.
No, I mean, I state over and over again, we all know cheating is wrong. But right. That don't mean that people that do it don't feel like they have a very valid reason to do it. And sometimes when you hear the facts or you hear the circumstances that they were in, it makes sense why they chose that option instead of just leaving, instead of, you know what I'm saying, just getting a divorce. Like, especially a man. When in America, men have a lot to lose in divorce when there are children or finances involved. And so those things weigh heavily on a man's decision or his choice on whether he stays faithful, cheats, or leaves. I don't understand what's hard about that. I don't see how that is in some way saying it's okay to cheat or justifying the behavior. Like, murder or killing somebody is wrong. But if your life is in danger, it's understood and it's justified. If you trying to kill my daughter, yeah, I don't believe in murder. I'm not a murderer, but I will become one in that instance if I have something that can murder you before you murder my daughter. And I'm not going to feel bad about it. I'm not going to, like, the circumstances dictate my choices or my decisions. And I live with that decision. I'm more than willing to kill somebody or to give my life to protect my daughter. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just interesting to see how these kind of conversations play out, even when you have the definitions right there in front of you. That it can be that difficult to communicate with some women over things that are really non-debatable. You know what I mean? Like, something either fits a definition of something or it doesn't. So that like I said, that post got a whole bunch of comments and a whole bunch of back and forth. Fortunately, there were a lot of women that were able to identify that, yeah, cheating is a mistake. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's the definition of mistake, then yeah, it obviously fits in it. Now this next post now, it's related to cheating as well. Now, this was actually a video that was sent to me where a dude and his girlfriend goes into it looks like I think it's a Sprint store, and confront one of the employees, right? So the guy is in the store and they got somebody recording him, and he's confronting the dude that works there about texting his girl. Now, it's unclear whether the employee was doing some work on her phone and just went in there and wrote down her phone number, you know, like you used to do back in the day. I remember back in elementary, I got a girl's number because I was looking over the teacher's shoulder at the grade book. You know what I'm saying? So we don't know if there's a scenario where he just took her number without her permission and started texting her, right? So that's a possibility. But I don't think I'm less likely to believe that that's the case based off what happened in the video. So in the video, the dude comes in and he's confronted, bro, you texted my girl, whatnot. And so the dude is like, man, she gave me her number, you know what I'm saying? And so the woman sits back there and says, "You stole my number," right? So
heard that one before.
yeah, now it's possible he could have got her number out of the system and randomly text her. That is perfectly possible. Now, if that was the case, based off what I've observed about women, a random cell phone store employee texting a woman trying to holler at her is about to get blocked in 1.6 seconds.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like we live in an era where women talk about blocking you off social media, deleting your page. Like they do all these things.
Time doing it either.
Instant. It's instant. Yeah,
things a lot smaller than this, you know.
Yeah. So if this woman if she got one text that she didn't want any more, she could have easily made that happen, right?
Exactly.
Now this is where the video gets very suspicious, I'll say. The boyfriend is acting like he's ready to fight this dude at his job. And so the dude is like, bro, she's texting me. Look, you can look at the text. And he offers the dude, he holds out his phone to the guy so that he can look at the messages. And the boyfriend, instead of looking at the evidence, seeing what the real conversation was, because you know he went through his girl's phone and probably got some edited version of the conversation. Some texts were likely deleted, because if the man is willing to show you the conversation, that means he ain't got nothing to hide. So, but instead of actually looking at the conversation, the dude slaps his phone out of his hand. So at that point, he just becomes a total lame that's looking for attention to me. Because if you're really trying to figure out the truth, if you're really trying to figure out what's going on, you're going to compare what's in her phone to what's in his phone. Now, that's not going to give you 100% of the story, because they could have spoke on the phone. They could have met up in person behind your back. You know what I mean? But at least you will get more information and a better idea of what was going on if you had just taken 30 to 90 seconds to glance at the text exchange between this dude and your woman. If you big and bad and you really trying to be he had to be going through her phone to figure out they was texting in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, so that's already insecure behavior right there. So, this dude just made him and his girl. They both look like some morons to me. Like Charlemagne should give them the donkey of the day. You know what I mean? If he's seen this video, because the dude it's lame for you to go confront a dude at his job. You know what I'm saying? Like,
over a woman at that.
Yeah, if your girl's cheating with a dude, you need to check your girl, bro. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like plenty of dudes get beat up, get killed, or get hurt over situations like this. You know what I'm saying? Like flexing for a chick.
Right. And I mean, I've never understood these situations to save the life of me of why, his girl is cheating on her with another dude, but he's mad at the dude, like he's going after the dude, beating him. It was one video, I don't know if you've seen this a few years ago. This dude, I guess dude was messing with his girl, smashed his girl, whatever. So he had a dude walking down the street in his boxes.
Oh yeah. I did see that. That kind of stuff, like people doing that for social media is just doing it for fame. You know what I'm saying? Like, but honestly, a person that gets cheated on, your issue is with your partner, unless there are some exceptions. The person they cheated with is one of your friends or family members or something like that. Now, if it's your cousin that's smashing your girl, you have a right to put hands on your cousin or want to confront them or whatnot. But if they're talking to or doing something behind your back with a stranger, you don't have no issues with that stranger, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, your problem is the girl. And for a woman to say that you stole my number, that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, as if that's a legitimate excuse to have somebody texting you. That totally made her look like a damn moron to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
because Oh, like you said earlier. I mean, you block that number. You dip that in the butt right there.
Yeah, you have one argument with your girl, you gotta email her or find some alternate way to get in contact with her. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
for a woman to be getting texts or phone calls from some dude that she don't know, you know what I mean? Like that's very suspect. So
Right.
this dude is either a super sucker, you know what I'm saying, or he went in there trying to put on a scene and make a scene for nothing. Like you already had your mind made up. You wasn't going nowhere and you was staying with her.
Right. I mean, either way, it's just really lame. Like dudes who do that is just really corny, man.
Yeah, man. Especially, I mean, and he almost got two-pieced because old boy was like, man, fuck this job. You know what I'm saying? Like so,
Right.
like he was.
And that's another thing. You can play that tough guy. So, I mean, some people that'll get by, but that's all. That's all fun and games till you run up on the wrong one.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like you end up getting two-pieced over a girl that was cheating. That ain't a good look. You know what I'm saying?
And
like,
mind you were going to stay anyway. Obviously, if you were going to go through the trouble to go to the man's job and hunt him down here and go on his witch hunt for the dude.
Yeah, man, it was just it was a very funny scenario, you know what I mean, to see it play out like that, especially on camera. Like, I hope old boy didn't get fired over that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a real whack reason to lose your job, but it is what it is. And, there were some people saying, like, it's lame for a dude to holler at a chick at his job and stuff. I'm like, man, you tripping. Like, every male does that.
That's not exactly uncommon. I mean, people do it all the time.
Yeah, dudes work at the mall smashing chicks that come to the mall. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't matter where you work. When I was at Burger King, I was hollering at chicks in the drive-thru, like at the register. Like, man, you gotta take your opportunities and shoot your shot when you get the opportunity from a male perspective.
Exactly.
And if you happen to be at work, you can still get somebody's name and number while you on the clock, or give them yours. And if the interest is there, you can progress and end up hitting the jackpot if things go right. All right, so the next post that I wanted to talk about, this is something we've discussed multiple times, Jay, man. It seems like this is a carousel of topics, topics, situations, questions. Like, it's the same stuff over and over and over again.
Right.
All right, so this is a post that I created. It said, 4 reasons why he never refers to what y'all do as just sex. And so number 1, y'all have spent countless hours communicating in person, through text, and on the phone. 2, y'all go out on dates and link up in person to chill on a regular basis. 3, y'all discuss personal situations and confide in one another. And number 4, y'all both use the resources at your disposal to help one another if needed. Rides, favors, loans, etc. And so this was a response to a post that went viral where women are stating that men should state their intentions up front. If you just want sex, just tell me you just want sex up front. Right? And it's like, that's never going to happen because that's not what happens between men and women.
We've talked about this on plenty of shows before. And like I said no guy's ever just called up to him, hey, I think you're really cute. I'm not really I just want sex and that's it,
Right. That's so unrealistic, bro. Like are there situations where that happens? Yes. But there is a very small percentage. And majority of the time, this is to somebody that is working in the sex industry. Men come up to strippers and find out how much is it for some head? How much is it to fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, men that are out of town.
That's a different, situation because you're soliciting money in exchange for sex.
Well, yeah, but
you're not necessarily, exchanging money for sex. It's something that, and 9 9 times out of 10, it happens naturally in the flow of things.
Yeah, it happens in the mix of other things. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because even if you in out of town for the weekend and you meet a chick Friday and you trying to smash before Sunday, you're gonna be like, hey, let's go. You want to go grab some drinks? You're going to do something. You know what I'm saying? You're going to invite her to do something with you. And that's what happens that even gets most women comfortable enough to have sex. They were texting, they were communicating, they were engaging one another, right? And so it's funny how when women can just ignore and erase everything that happened between them and a guy, if it doesn't work out or it turn into a relationship, then all of a sudden the only thing that they can remember is the sex. And so I had to create this list because from a male perspective, y'all do way more than just have sex. You know what I mean? Like, y'all go on dates, y'all spend time together. Like I said, the things that I mentioned, you telling him about your problem. He's dealing with your bullshit. He's doing.
And another common thing that women said, I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times. Women say, "Oh, well, I'm good enough to have sex with, but I'm not good enough to be in a relationship with." Women say that. And honestly, that's one of the dumbest things that women can say. Because think about it, there's no such thing as good enough to have sex with.
Well, you got to.
There's no such thing as good enough to have sex with.
For some people have standards where you have to be a certain level of attractiveness or have a certain level of respect, but most people are not most men in anyway are not very strict at all when it comes to sex.
Exactly. My point exactly. Listen, a dude will smash it. It doesn't make a difference how raggedy, dusty, funky, skanky, crab, whatever it is you are. Dudes don't care.
If he hollered at you, or
will smash regardless.
You're right. The dudes that are bottom of the barrel, but any dude that has hollered at a woman to get to the point where, like, any dude that has put himself in a position to either be able to communicate with you one-on-one or meet with you one-on-one has decided that you are smashable already.
And like I said, you got a bunch of thirsty dudes out here in these streets. I mean, you see it on social media all the time. And think even a dude ain't thirsty. Maybe he's going through some kind of dry spell or something like that. Yeah, she's around, she's available, she's convenient. He goes to smash her until, he finds that fly too. So, this notion that good enough to have sex with, but not good enough to be in a relationship. But I mean, I've never understood the logic of that.
Yeah, it don't make a lot of sense to me either. It's just hard to see the women try to explain the logic behind some of the cliches and things that they say or post. A lot of it is inconsistent, hypocritical, or doesn't just represent reality. A lot of these things that women, and another thing that I've noticed is always like the women that are clueless or don't really get it, they have this pattern of talking in circles. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
and what a lot of times they throw these nebulous factors out there.
They're great at deflecting the conversation and avoiding going in depth or having any critical thinking take place.
Exactly. And what happens, they spend more time and energy playing the victim of the situation rather than, living with what the reality of the situation is. They don't want to take any kind of accountability. Maybe there's a reason he didn't want to be in a relationship with you. Maybe he just liked just having sex with you. Maybe he saw a couple of red flags. I don't know. I mean, every situation is different here.
Yeah, I mean, those are all possibilities. But like you said, every situation is based on the merits of it. It could be he's dating somebody that he likes more. He doesn't want to be in a relationship, period. Like, it could be multiple explanations as to why a man doesn't commit to a woman. And it's not always he's a fuckboy or he ain't. Like, sometimes a man can have valid reasons why he chose not to commit to a particular woman. And that doesn't make him a bad guy. You know what I mean?
I mean, hey, listen, sometimes it just doesn't work out that way.
Right. So
I mean, even us as men, we all say we had situations where we might have dealt with them, and maybe they could have been a potential girlfriend, wife, whatever. It just didn't work out that way for whatever reasons here.
Yeah. Look like we're about to come up against the clock. We're about to take a quick break. When we come back from break, I'll be having a discussion with Cece Ivory. We'll be talking about relationships and dating do's and don'ts. When we come back, and then after we get finished with the interview, Jay and I will give some feedback, give our 2 cents on the conversation, and we'll be wrapping it up. I gave you everything was mine is yours. I want you to live your life, of course, but I hope you get what you're dying for. You care for me. Do you know what you're doing? Whose feelings that you hurting and bruising? You gon' get the whole world, but is it worth the girl that you losing? Be careful me. All right, everybody, welcome back. You're listening to the More Than Love podcast with Terry DeRon. I got my guest for the night on tonight. What's going on, Cece Ivory? How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. And yourself?
I'm doing all right. I really appreciate you taking the time out your busy schedule to chop it up with your boy. I think it'll be something that my viewers will really enjoy. So tonight we're talking about dating etiquette, dating do's and don'ts or whatnot. So I just wanted to get a female perspective on some of the things that we see out in commonplace with dating, and talk about some of the things that either increase or decrease a person's chance of ending up in a healthy relationship. But before we get into the topic of the night, I wanted you to give you a minute to introduce yourself. Let the audience know who we're speaking with and what perspective they should be expecting from you.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm a Detroit native. I live out here in Vegas now. I am a 15-year ghostwriter. I work for a very, very huge known publishing company. I have multiple businesses. I actually have a few books that's coming out this year too as well. I'm a mother, all around hustler, go getter, and all these good names and stuff like that. But I dedicated my social media page to dating, relationships, and business because I believe that you're supposed to have healthy relationships and also be successful in business. That's basically in a nutshell who I am.
All right, cool. That's what's up. Think you'll be able to share some interest and perspective on the topic. So the first thing that I wanted to ask you is what do you believe are some key components to establishing a healthy relationship?
Okay. Well, for me, I feel like the number one thing in establishing a healthy relationship is to be yourself. So many people that get into, I don't even want to say relationships, I'm going to say in the introduction phase, because that's the first phase that you go through when you're trying to pursue someone or you're interested in someone. It's the introduction phase. And so you have to be yourself.
Very
because
true.
if someone is looking for something real, then you don't have to sugarcoat who you are or be fake about who you are to please this person, you know.
Very good point.
So for me, I feel like be yourself is definitely the first thing that you do.
Yeah, transparency obviously goes a long way. That's something that I preach on my page a lot. When it comes to guys, you basically kind of have two type of guys. You got men that are going to be authentic and transparent and can attract quality women based off their own personalities, their looks, their credentials. And then you got your F-boy that has to lie and deceive women in order to gain favor with them or to get something from them. So I definitely agree with you as far as being honest and transparent. That's something that I see a big problem with the women I engage with on my social media. A lot of women, they say they want one thing, and then they have this kind of like this unrealistic expectation of what a man actually is. And when the reality of how men really operate conflicts with how they think men should operate, there's this, chaos and a lot of women get in their feelings, etc. And it's like, man, a lot of people that I've spoken with have basically said that a lot of women essentially just want to date another female with a penis. Like they expect men to think and operate like a woman, like they penalize for men for doing normal male things, but they swear up and down they want to be with a man. It's like something's not really adding up.
Well, I want to add something to that. post a lot of, great things geared towards women, or whatever. But if you really go on my page and you just really look at it, whether it's on the post or whether it's in the caption, I post a lot because I feel like the world that we live in today, we always take the woman's side when it comes down to the relationship and when it comes down to the marriage, because society tells us that the man is always wrong and the woman is always right. Honestly, if truth be told, and I'm a woman myself, if I say this, a lot of people will probably criticize what I have to say, but I speak my mind and I speak the truth. Most women do not take responsibility for their own actions. We want something out of a man, but we can't even give it ourselves.
Very
and that's
true.
the honest to God truth.
I get accused of bashing women for pointing that out or bringing up these things because it's so, like, for me, I just believe in transparency and I hate hypocrisy. So it's easy to find a lot of things on social media or just general behaviors that women do that are hypocritical. You know what I mean? Like I bring it up all the time, and that's one of the reasons that my page is so active, and men actually flock to my page because I speak what they experience. And so it's like for example, I could put up a post about a woman leaving a man, and the woman will, she should have left. Women will instantly come with support her decision, come with reasons why she was right to do it. But if it's a situation where a man leaves a woman, it's automatically he's wrong. It's automatically like how can y'all be this blatantly unfair or biased towards men? But it's the unfortunate reality. A lot of women do, and it seems like they're blind or oblivious to it. Like they don't realize that in a lot of situations they'll, well, for example, like whenever we talk about cheating, right? Everybody knows cheating is wrong. And so when a post about cheating comes up, the first thing you'll see, a man should just leave before cheating. A man should just leave before cheating. But then when I put up a post about a man leaving before cheating, he gets criticized too. So it's like, man, what you supposed to do with that? And that's where you see a lot of men will get to the point where they just stop trying. They
what's crazy is that I honestly know more women to cheat than men. And that's real, and especially a lot of times, half of them is married, doing it. I think the thing is that women don't get caught, and they do it in a more smoother way, when they do it. Men, they're a little dumbfounded. Just
men get careless.
They're sloppy with it. They're sloppy cheaters.
Yeah,
so that's why they get caught up like that. But women,
well, there's some other reasons too. There are some other things about that. I was talking about that a couple of weeks back. One of the main reasons that women get away with cheating or don't get caught as much as men is, one, men are not as insecure and distrustful of women as women are of men. So men just ain't automatically going through your phone and ain't automatically doing all that type of stuff. Usually that's something that's guilt motivated if a man's going through your phone. Right, and then the biggest factor is side dudes and side chicks have completely different attitudes, and I can speak from my experience as a side dude. I wasn't trying to get you caught. I wasn't trying to get you to be my woman. So I was coaching you on how to make your relationship work. I'm coaching them on how to not get caught, what excuses and alibis to use, things like that. So that plays a major factor in it too. A lot of times men are cheating with women that want to replace his woman, that want to tag him in pictures and want to be seen in public and all this type of stuff, where side dudes are just happy to be getting the panties and the attention that they get, and a lot of times they're cool with their role. So that contributes a lot to why a lot of women don't get put on blast. But let's see, man. I forgot the next thing I wanted to ask you. Yeah, I was gonna say, man. These kind of conversations always can jump all around. So that's one.
I know you play too much because I personally wrote down stuff. I'm like, okay, I don't know what you're gonna ask me, but it's all right. It's cool. We just going with the flow. It is what it is.
Yeah. You can feel free to bring up whatever you want to bring up. I like these type of conversations to just flow. I could think of something could come up. and it could change the direction of the conversation. That's cool. That's why I like being in control, and I can say what I want on my own podcast. So this is the kind of conversation that I like to have where, you know, one of the reasons I invited you is because I follow you. So I see the type of stuff you post, and I see that you actually give a genuine perspective. So I feel like if you actually keeping it 100, I'm the type of person that I like to try to share my platform with others. So that's why I reached out to you. You know what I'm saying? And my audience respect that I bring people like you on. You know what I mean? Because even though I do give I'm a man. You know what I mean? But so when I can bring on a woman that's able to articulate her perspective without being in her feelings, without making up assumptions and all kind of dramatic stuff or unproductive stuff, is real beneficial for both of us. So let's see. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is, how do you think being anxious to get in a relationship impacts a woman's dating experiences?
Oh, jeez. Okay. Oh man. Okay. So let me first say this. Never be in a rush for anything, and that's not even just off relationships. That goes to anything that you're involving yourself with, anything that you want. Never rush the process, because if you rush the process, what's going to happen is you're going to give birth to something prematurely, and it may come out dead, or it may come out half alive at the end of the day. So when it comes down to relationships, a lot of women, I posted something on my page the other day, when Riley got engaged or whatever, and you know, we all know that she's 47 years old, and she just got engaged the other day. And a lot of women in my comment section, what they were saying was, you know, Cece, we agree with everything that you're saying, but the thing is that, you know, we're getting older, you know, some of us want to have babies and things of that nature or whatever. And I trust me, and I respect, you know, the fact that, you know, women want to, you know, they want a man, or they want a husband, and they want to have kids and things of that nature. But then you got to remind yourself, like, is this what's best for me? Is this truly what's best for me? Because sometimes we don't know what's best for us. You know what I'm saying? So it's like rushing into in a relationship. Sometimes it's very, very destructive. You know, if destruction can come, and then you may not even honestly know what you're getting, because a lot of times when you're
that's exactly what happens
to grab something, you wind up getting the killer, the psycho, the narcissist, the manipulator, and things of that nature. You know?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to dating is not something that you can press a skip. It's not a DVD. You can't just skip scenes of life and jump to the part where he's about to propose to you. You know what I mean? And so, when you in order for you to have a healthy now you can get in a relationship quick, fast, in a hurry, but it's more likely going to be dysfunctional. I don't think that's most people's relationship goal. And so if you want to be in a type of relationship where it's a healthy relationship, and what do I mean by a healthy relationship? I'm talking about a relationship where both people can freely speak their mind and voice their feelings and their concerns to their partner, and be extremely confident that their partner is going to actually listen, and if there's a problem, they're going to put forth effort to fix or resolve the problem. That's a sign of being in a healthy relationship. You can have that type of communication. You have somebody, you have somebody that trusts you enough that they don't take criticism as an attack. They don't view you as it's me versus you. They view everything from a we're trying to work together to get further together type of perspective. And you have to have things in place that you can effectively resolve issues. When something comes up, when there's a misunderstanding, you have to be able to have somebody that already is going into it, already knowing that you wasn't intentionally trying to hurt them. You know what I mean? You have to be able to give that benefit of the doubt if you are ever going to have a relationship that lasts 5, 10, 20 years. And a lot of people say that they want that and all that, but they really not built for it, because they can't even give a person the benefit of the doubt when they fall asleep and don't respond to a text. So
people are so fascinated with the honeymoon process and the honeymoon thing, or the wedding, the ring, the gown, the vacation that comes with it and everything like that. They're so fascinated about that, but they're not concerned about the actual marriage, the actual relationship, the commitment
True.
that they're taking with each other. You can't be like this. I say something when you meet a person, um, and you're interested in that particular person, I feel like there's nothing wrong with asking a person, hey, what is it that you're looking for? Because you have to make sure that you're on one accord with the person. So yes, if in the long term you are looking for marriage, and if they're looking for marriage in the long term as well, that is what you need to know. But you cannot rush or force a person to hurry up and marry you, because I have to find out for myself, before I say I do to you, are we compatible? And
Exactly.
compatibility is everything. People forget that.
That's where most people fail. That's where most people fail the dating phase. And
Yep.
that and I had to tell some. I found that the women that sent me questions, I found that being my most common response. Like, oh, you failed the dating phase because you didn't do this. Oh, you rushed into a relationship. And so that's why I created a dating and compatibility guide. It's basically just an ebook that people can download from my website that walks them through the dating phase. It outlines conversations you should have and the type of responses you should expect. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
um,
Absolutely.
and the most important thing though is it has some evaluation worksheets where the person, whoever downloads it, can actually screenshot it, email it to themselves, and print it out, and they can actually fill out a worksheet based off which evaluates the person they're dating, where they're rating them in different categories, and they can actually see on paper whether they're compatible or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It is so important to ask questions. I say that all the time. Ask questions, because if you don't ask questions, guess what? You're going to be just asked out at the end of the day, because it's like, hey, I didn't know this about this person. I didn't know, I didn't know this. I didn't know you wanted that. I didn't know this is what you was expecting and stuff like that. You have to ask questions, and not just any questions. Neither. You have to be very specific on the type of question that you ask, because you wind up with anything, and you're going to wind up
Well,
disappointed if you don't.
you got
It's very, very important.
you have to do more than that. Um, F boys have perfected the art of answering questions. So answering
Yeah,
questions
yeah,
ain't really enough. What you have to do in order to evaluate or figure out if you really dealing with somebody that's being real is you have to compare the things that they've told you to their real life. Like, you have to
yeah,
overlap those two things. Because when somebody's being transparent with you, it overlaps. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
conversations that they were telling you about, or something that they mentioned, it'll come up again. You know what I mean? Like, it could be anything. Like, they could have mentioned just one time to you that they're in a bowling league, and then you talking to them a few weeks later, like, nah, Thursdays I'm on my bowling league. That's my bowling night. You'll be like, oh yeah, I remember you told me that.
I
That's
remember you said that.
yeah, that's
Listen, Terry. When I say I'm so anal about that, like, first of all, and you may feel like this is maybe extreme or whatever, but if I don't personally know you, or if I personally know you and I have not spent years around you, I don't know you, okay? So that means I have to reintroduce myself to you, and you have to reintroduce yourself to me. Before I even step out the door and even consider going on a date or whatever, I run background checks on people. Yes, I do. And I recommend, even if it's a man or woman, because sometimes you don't know if you can know what a psycho either. You know what I'm saying? You want to do a criminal background check. You want to do, sex offender, because you need to know what what you're getting into. And also, if there is, most people are involved in social media and stuff like that, right? If they page, this is just a tip. If their page is not private, you can go back years and years and years on their profile side and see the type of things that they post and stuff like that. Because a lot of times people lie on social media, but then sometimes you start seeing the truth too as well when you start going back in the past. See their circles, see who they hang around, what type of people they're involved with, because you don't want any surprises at the end of the day. So you have to do your research and your homework before you invest time with a psycho.
So do you tell people you did a background check on them?
I have, yep, because I'm blunt. I'm very blunt. I may not have did it on like the first date or something like that. Like if I really want to pursue this person, and I find like, hey, this person is cool. And as time go, and I let them know, like, hey, I checked up on you. And it's funny because, like, my ex, he was like, guess what? I checked up on you, too. He was like, oh, I was like, okay, so it's cool. So men do the same thing, too. It's just, you have to. You really, really have to. In this day and age right here that we're living in, you don't know who you're dealing with. You don't know who, like, I remember, it was, 2 years ago. I was, about to pursue someone, right? And just something told me, like, hey, check to see who this guy is. I did. I ran that check on him, and long and behold, guess what happened? When I pulled his records, he had went to teach him and a couple more people. They had went to jail for killing this young lady. Went up in her house and shot her dead. And
Wow.
then not only that, like he also had like the year before that me and him were even want to deal with each other. He just had got out of a domestic violent relationship with his prior ex, and she wound up dropping the case on that. So stuff like that, people don't tell you that in the beginning. They don't. So you have to go find this stuff on your own.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I've been married almost 14 years, so I've been out the dating game for a while. But that's it's something that I've had a question about. A dude had sent in a thing, and he was saying like, "Man, this chick did a background check on me. Am I wrong to feel some type of way about that?" And like you said, I mean, I understand it.
It's safety.
Yeah, I'm not a
You
woman,
gotta
so
take safety precautions. One of my sister's ex-husbands, I know she's gonna kill me for putting the business out there, but it is what it is. One of my sister's ex-husbands, like when she finally introduced us to him, we as a family we try not to be in, each other's business like that or whatever, and unless it just go to the left, then it's all another story. But we was just seeing signs of, controlling signs of him, and then I remember my uncle had a gathering at his house, whatever, and stuff had just came up stolen and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. Like I said, well, we good. We don't steal from each other. That's just something we don't do. And then we put it two and two. Every time something came up missing, it was him. And so I was like,
wow.
let me run a check on him. So I ran a check on him. The company that he used to work for, he wound up embezzling $100,000 from that company. I'm like, oh, okay. And then, then he wound up doing some other stuff too as well. And I'm like, okay, so we're dealing with a thief right here. You
Wow.
never know. All this stuff is important. People do not tell you stuff like this in the beginning. They just don't.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, well, like you said, you can never be too safe.
You can't, because
it's an
we look at looks, we look at looks and say, hey, oh, he or she is fine and stuff like that. Oh, they'll never do anything like that. And that's the same thing, like when it comes down to mental illness or disease, all kinds of diseases and stuff like that. People do not share these type of information with them. You have to go out and find this stuff for yourself. You have to.
All right, well, you definitely brought up some stuff I didn't expect to hear tonight.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no. That's a good thing. Like you never know how the conversation's gonna go. Like I didn't expect to hear about the background checks and all that, but it's good that you are aware enough to be adapting to the environment, to be doing thorough. You're actually going through the process of vetting who you're dating, so you're not making the mistake that I see a lot of women make, which you mentioned earlier, is they commit to people they're not compatible with. And so,
Yeah.
and that's because of, like you said, the sex, the physical attraction, the fancy car, etc. And they don't go through the dating phase in an organic way. They're anxious to just, oh, you took me to a fancy restaurant. Oh, you're gonna take me to a concert. So they're into you because of what they feel like they were gonna get out of you if they were your woman, instead of investing that time to actually get to know you. where
Yep.
go ahead.
Absolutely. Take a woman. Take a woman. I always suggest this to men too. There's nothing wrong with whining and dining her or whatever, right? But if you ever really want to know who you're dating, take her to somewhere where everything is free, nothing costs, okay? And then see what type of engagement you're going to have with that person. See if she's going to complain about different things and stuff like that. You don't have to go to no 5-star restaurant for a first date or anything like that. It may just be I don't know a stroll in the park, or it could be a long ride or across or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to. You could go to even if it is pain. You can go to art museum and just talk and stuff like that. Because to me, I feel like those are the best days anyways. Well, I don't.
Yeah, those are the most effective.
I don't recommend going to the movies or anything like that on the first date. No, that's not me because that's too impersonal for me.
Yeah, I mean the purpose of dating is to get one-on-one time with the person to figure out if there's a mutual interest and if y'all are compatible.
Mm-hmm.
And so any environment where you can just have a one-on-one conversation, you can have an awesome date sitting in a car. You know what I'm saying? Sitting on the couch talking.
Yeah.
Like it sitting on some steps. It doesn't matter where you at. You know what I mean? Some of the most effective dates or interactions I've had with women have been unexpected. You know what I mean? It's leaning outside of a car talking. Stuff like that where you come away from the conversation feeling like you've known them forever or like you've known them for a long time. That's when you are really vibing with somebody and the conversation is so engaging that you're reaching that level of compatibility that you should be looking for in order before you take the next step with somebody. So, but unfortunately, like I said, a lot of people fail the dating phase and get so caught up in other things besides what really matters that they put themselves in bad positions long term. And
another thing I will say, Terry, is that like when you are dating, you're supposed to make sure that there is compatibility when it comes down to family values. Because
absolutely.
You don't want to date a man or a woman or whoever you may like or whatever, and you're not seeing eye to eye when it comes down to the family value. I always tell a person like this: if you have, let's say, like you're engaged or you're trying to get to know someone and they have children, me personally, I have a problem with people that don't really have involvement in their children's lives or whatever, or people who try to hide their children from you, or people who don't really deal with their family, say, I know, trust me, some of us have crazy families, I get it or whatever, but if you don't talk to just nobody completely, like you just completely,
that's a red flag. It's a red
that's
flag.
A little weird to me, in my personal opinion, I don't think that's right. I mean, I don't think that I would want to be, especially if I'm a person who I value family and stuff like that. I don't want to be with nobody who, like, hey, let's just do me and you, and we don't have to talk to nobody and stuff like that. That's a sign of control too, as well. If we really technically want to go there,
True.
But if you don't have the same family values, you may run into a problem because if you get with this person and you eventually wind up having children with this person or whatever,
it's gonna be a problem.
Now you're teaching your kids two different ways of life because you believe one way and I believe a whole another way, and then when then it's going to cause conflict in the home, and also if in the relationship or the marriage or whatever you're in.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like we are up against the clock. Cece, I want to say thank you. You really brought a lot of interest and perspectives and a lot of thought-provoking comments or suggestions. So I really appreciate you coming on. I think this is going to be a very valuable insight for the listeners. And we'll definitely have to get you back on the show in the future. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, me and Jay will do some follow-up and discuss the conversation that I had with Cece. Cece, thank you again. Before you get out of here, let everybody know how they can contact you or find your content.
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, on under author, AUTHOR _ Cece Ivory. That's CECE IVORY. all across the social media platforms.
All right, y'all. We'll be back in a moment. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so we going into break with that. Let me take a drink. So yeah, so she was talking about so I'm gonna ask you about you know, the background checks and all that type of stuff. And then we went a little long on the top 3. We talked 25 minutes already.
Okay.
But it's all good. So 25, so that'll put us at like 55 minutes. But we can go over an hour, you know what I mean? So it's all good. So this show will probably end up being like an hour and 5 minutes or something like that. So I'll come out the break. We'll talk about the conversation for a few minutes, and then I'll just wrap up the show. All right. So we're coming back to the Drizzy. All right, everybody, welcome back. You're listening to the More Than Love podcast. All right, so I just wrapped up my conversation with Cece Ivory, and she had a lot of interesting insight. Jay, man, I wanted to get your opinion, bro. When it comes to a woman doing a background check or investigating you, would you feel some type of way if you found out a woman, you know,
honestly,
is all in your mix?
I would. And listen, for what it's worth, I don't really have anything to hide. Like, I mean, you can do a background check on me. I don't have much going on there, as far as, you know, I don't have any felonies or anything like that. But I've got a little bit of mixed emotions about that. You know what I'm saying? Because you're doing it, first of all, doing it without my permission. Because think about it like this. Let's just say a job requires a background check or a credit check or whatever the case may be. They ask your permission, they have your consent before they even do it. You know, True. They don't do it without your consent.
Yeah,
you know, so
I mean, I have
a background check. Do we have your consent to check your background? Whatever, you know, usually if it's a criminal, it's usually they go 7 years back.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Now, if you work in, like, say, at a bank or something like that, you're dealing with money, they usually do run a credit check. But they tell you they're going to run a credit check before they do it. Now, in this case, you're taking it on yourself and you're taking your own liberties here to do a background test without the person's permission. You know...
I get it. Like, some of the examples she gave are very... Like, I was very shocked to hear. You know what I mean? Like... So I get it. I'm like, damn. Like, I never thought about it like that. But man, I've been out the game for a long time.
Gray area type of situations here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's no such thing as too careful. You know what I mean? Like, the last thing you want to do is end up dating somebody or bring somebody around your kids that's a sex offender. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that is real.
But even let's just say with the sex offender, that's not classified information.
I know, but see, most people don't even. But most people, I don't think.
You got to register as a natural sex offender.
Right, but I was gonna say, I don't even think most people do that.
But like, let's just say you caught a whatever charge 10 years ago. You know, whatever it was, whatever the situation was, you caught the charge for. Let's just say it was a low misdemeanor, a low misdemeanor here. You know, the lowest misdemeanor here. You know.
Yeah, I mean that's not even, like you said, that's not gonna always tell you the full story. You know what I mean? Because I know lots.
So sometimes even if you got the charge, like myself in my experience, you go back. I have a charge from almost 8 or 9 years ago back in Virginia. It's firing within city limits. Now it's misleading. I didn't fire it at somebody. I didn't shoot at nobody, nothing like that. But you see what I'm saying? How that can be misleading sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, especially being on a sex offender list. But
like a low misdemeanor. It was like a low misdemeanor here.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So as far as
it had to stop me from getting jobs in the future. Is jobs that I've had here, past or present here.
So as far as like the background check, what percentage of women do you think actually do that? You know what I'm saying? Like actually run a background check.
I don't. know what? I'm gonna say that's probably a pretty low percentage because a lot of times, either maybe they work in law enforcement or they know somebody that works in law enforcement.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Cousin or uncle or something like that.
To do that. So they actually have some, the resources to do that. Now, the average woman, I don't think do it because I know, a lot of sites you got to pay to get a whole background search on somebody.
Yeah, I mean, dating these days is tricky, man. I mean, it's crazy to say, but you got girls that used to be dudes that used to be girls, like it's all kind of deception. You got waist trainers and fake booties and fake like. I'm glad I'm off the market for a lot of reasons, but I can get why people take these. Well, I can't even call them extreme measures. These elevated measures of investigating the people they date. It makes sense. You know what I mean? It's just
now. I'm all for doing your due diligence on a person, especially if it's a person you may want to pursue something longer term with. I'm all for doing your due diligence, but the whole going through the whole background. Like I said, I'm lukewarm to that idea just because I feel like it's a breach of confidentiality. You know what I'm saying? You're doing that without the person's permission. So, I said, to a degree, I say that says more about you that you're doing that behind my back. So if you're gonna do that behind, now let's say you find nothing, right? What else? Who's to say you won't do anything else behind my back? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, once you I asked Cece, like, when you tell somebody that, man, you might not gonna always get a positive reaction. You know what I'm saying?
I'd say that's 50-50 at best. That's going to be a hit or miss. Either guys will say, oh, okay, well, I don't have it, I have a pretty clean history. But you're going to have some, even if they did, they're going to say, hey, what the hell's that all about?
Yeah, I mean, and so if you...
Because, like, for me, you telling me after the fact, I feel a way about it.
Yeah, like I said, you going to feel... It's going to feel like you're going to feel like violated. You know what I mean? But
exactly. That's the exact words right there.
And
you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, it's almost, I put it in the same category as like conducting an illegal search. Like you just search somebody's car or went through somebody's house illegally.
Yeah, man, it's like I said, this 2018, man, it's the era that we live in. These are the type of issues or scenarios that are coming up that people have to navigate. So I don't really have the answers. I just wanted to at least be able to spark the conversation about it. Look like we're up against the clock. I would love to continue the conversation. This is a pretty interesting topic. But I want to say thanks to everybody that's been tuning in and downloading the podcast. We're getting the numbers up. Jay, I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Another good show. Everybody, keep tuning in. Tell your friends, family about the show, and let's continue on. Looking forward to another great show.
All right, this has been another episode of the More Than Love podcast. Thanks for tuning in.